With virtual learning, what we're seeing as far as the effects on the eyes is that anytime you have an object that's close to you, computer screen, an iPad, tablet, books, there's going to be accommodative effort. And what that is, there's a muscle inside the eye that will actually contract and actually brings the letters into focus. But when you're doing it for a prolonged period of time, you can have a lot of spasm of that muscle. So these children can start noticing eye strain, headaches because of the muscle being tight. It'll transmit itself to a headache in the eyes. A lot of times there is no sign because the children don't really even know they're having it. They're not really apt to complain about it. So things you're kind of keeping an eye out for is increased blink rate. You see your children squeezing their eyes a lot, closing one eye. If you see them, start complaining of headaches or holding their head, especially with blue light, you're getting a lot of blue light out of the screens, brighter screens, iPads, so that blue light can stimulate your child to feel more awake. So I always tell my patients, after about 2 to 3 hours before their bedtime, try to turn the blue light off. After 20 minutes of continuous reading, you want to take about a 20-second break, look at something far off into the distance. I tell them even add a little 20 squeezes of the eyelid to reduce some of those symptoms. When you're setting up your child's computer screen, what you want to try to do is keep them at eye level. You don't want them looking up at the screen because that's going to increase the risk for their eyes drying out after on the screen for a prolonged period of time. You don't want them looking down to the screen, otherwise that can create neck problems. We call it tech neck. So try to put them at eye level so that they're in a neutral position with their spine, and that should alleviate some of the dry eye problems and some of the neck spasm. When it comes to screens, they're backlit. A lot of us are using the devices, the phones, the computer screens have a backlight to them. You actually don't need as much light in the room as you would if you're reading a traditional book. So we actually say take about 50% of the normal light in your room and go with that as your target when you're using one of these backlit screens. As a parent at home, what you're looking for is increased blink rates, squinting of the eyes. If your child's complaining of eye strain or headache types of complaints, if you have any type of crossing of the eyes, inward, outward, those things, you definitely want to get them checked out. But a lot of times, the child may be asymptomatic and you may not see anything at home, not to any fault of the parent. So that's why, I always recommend prior to school age, get a baseline eye exam. We can pick a lot of things up by age 3, 4, 5, but definitely keep up and at least get a baseline exam for your child prior to school.
For more information about Chesapeake Eye, click Delmarva Experts.